Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I thought I will chat with you after a few hours of work there as a breather today. Megan, welcome. So, I was talking about proactive wellness days number 8 this morning. I was there for half an hour. Then I had the same topic with my members of the wellness club at that 8 o'clock hour, and they received that very well. And it was like a slight probing into what is really driving us at the core. Is it driving toward the worldly affairs, or is it driving towards the spirituality? And I prefer going towards the spirituality and gaining inner resilience by self inquiry, self knowledge, knowing ourselves, not judging, not being punitive or anything to ourselves, not feeling guilty, but more like honest appraisal of where our life, our core is directed and going towards it. That kind of thing made a lot of meaningful transformational change for me. So I was presenting that just out of conviction that inner resilience that we get from this transformation usually helps us to better navigate our journey. I was describing the journey on a river with a boat, and you have your direction, you have destination, and then you're going on the boat, and you don't want the water to come in, you want to seep through. That's a good simile for going through life's ups and downs with control, rather than allowing all the events seep into us and then drown us, right? Uh, I hope that made sense to somebody. Um, that's kind of nice analogy, the Harteri uh, analogy that I use um, for several ways of getting out of tough spots or not to go too high on our victories. That kind of helped me plenty of times. For example, simply suppose somebody praises us and gives a lot of, you know, their appreciation or their uh, consideration and all that. If I let that go to my head, then I'm saying I'm kind of ballooning my ego bulb, right? And which will be punctured by somebody else who comes and says, "Oh, you think so much of yourself. You are not that thing." So the same thing, the better thing would be not to go up too much. Just don't let it go to your head. And also, if somebody really criticizes, maybe you can look at it without feeling bad about it, so that you can understand what's the truth they're talking about, and then maybe you have the opportunity to really correct yourself, right? So if you have any considerations, any questions on that talk or what I'm saying, I'm here to really have a chat with you on that. Uh, so, generally, people, um, I'm looking at this, from a generation's point of view. What was happening was, if you suppose you take a trip down the line into the past, way, way, thousands of years ago. What was the lifestyle like? Why they have such a stable neurological system? Why they have such serenity, such calmness, and why their findings from the math to anything you take that high quality, the dexterity. If you take a sculpture, it looks like a real person when you really look at the details of the face, details of the eyes, and everything. They're fabulous. They're beautiful, right? I remember there was a place in Bombay. Right after you go to the Gateway of India, they take you on a boat to these caves in the middle of the sea somewhere, and then they let you off the boat and take you inside. And there are beautiful sculptures within the cave. The cave is not like a one room or something, it's like a good complex, right? And it's a fascinating place, beautiful place. But most thing I remembered was Krishnamurti when he came into that Bombay gondola, something like that. He saw this face of Trimurti. Trimurti means three murtis, three heads on the one sculpture. There's a very famous god that has three faces, right? But all the faces are sculpted so beautifully. He said, what happened to this skill? What happened to this level of dexterity? And then following that, there was a discussion. Was there erosion of the mind's capacity to go deep within itself and be quiet? And out of that quietness, a lot of these things happen. Okay, that is what they were talking about, right? So I kind of saw that and I remembered what he was talking about, and really that is true. The quality of the sculpture is such a big deal. That was so good that you feel like, yeah, this is really something. So we were interested more of what kind of mind, what kind of inner tranquility. You see, when you say sculpture and the stone out of which it is carved, there was a remarkable statement. Uh, I don't know, it was Leonardo or somebody. They said they saw the sculpture shape in the rock and then chiseled out rest of it. So in their manonitra, they call it, in their eye of their mind, they saw the vision of the sculpture and then separated rest of the rock. So the rock left with this, right? It's not like you are chiseling rock away and then things happen. Yeah, that is what it is happening. But then the first thing happened was the vision of this sculpture was there, and then it was so clear, so beautiful, and they have done that. And then later on, as I was exploring the mind and its reality or no reality, or its you know um, existence without thoughts, which is really what is the fact is we only have thoughts coming in and going, but we name that as an entity of mind, right? But we are aware and we have thoughts, right? First I'm solid, then I have thoughts, and then I may give them their life, I may make them really be like an entity as mind, and then I don't know how to manage that. Then I get lost in the network of thought. Anyway, my topic this morning was, are you using spirituality to have better experiences in the world, or you are moving away from the world so that your inner spirituality gives you inner resilience, stability, serenity? The deal is, when you have that, when the ebb and flow of life happens, you are able to handle them better. On the other hand, otherwise you have to tinker with your thoughts this way and that way and all that. That is what is happening. All this analysis and all these theories about things and all that, they are not able to get you into that continuous moment to moment awareness. It's more like a this thought is that this book, that man is, all those things are going on. But meanwhile, are you able to be stable when the currents of the life come? Are you able to deal with them better? You know, I would say if you have inner stability, serenity, and resilience, as I'm talking about, you would go through the waves of the life much easier, much better. Okay. Case in point, I got to make some money, and if I have this all insecurities, no confidence, and I just want to have money, but I am not really having any skills for that. Would that be better to cultivate the skills? And for that, you need a stable mind and focus, concentration, and resources and all that. But if your mind is the one which is the problem, then you go to a job. Even if you get a job and all that, you will not be able to probably keep it if you don't have enough, you know, stability to execute the skills, or willing to learn the skills after they give you a job and then prove that you're going to be valuable, right? You're stable inside, then you can face that adversity, use the adversity as an opportunity to improve yourself and to get better, and with that confidence, go about the march. Or if you have no control of the inner and it goes whatever, and then you are somehow you want to get in there, you can get into a lot of trouble, or you can get rejected with the job. It's as simple as that. So um, if you have a steady life, parents good, society good, you have education, you have skills, and you go to the job, even then, what's happening? They are burning out. They are stressing out. The IT people, they are getting educated in very, very good institutions. They developing a lot of skills that they can give a lot of it. And what's happening, right? So, what are the things that we could do that would enhance our inner resilience? For me, just be aware, awareness of awareness, not just thinking, but awareness of awareness. And then staying in awareness, then use the thought, intellect with a very sharp knife with a stable place. That's what happens if you give somebody a knife and they have an unsteady hand because they have something going on within themselves, then they can use the knife to hurt somebody or hurt themselves. But if you have a steady mind, then you give a sharp knife, they can do surgery much better. This we see in the surgery. The people, surgical people, they are so dexterous, they are so uh, calm and quiet and very confident, then they are able to do the surgeries much better than somebody who do not have a steady head, who is a lot of anxiety, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of, they lose that. You know, a lot of people come with a great skill and they get the money and power, and then they become really surgeons are looked at like they are not normal. They can be great surgeons, but they can be as human being, they can be pretty harsh to people, right? Especially in the economic structure. I'll give you an example. There was an orthopedic doctor uh, in our nearest group. I was also working, not in the group, but I was going more like a consultant for clearing their orthopedic patients for surgery, right? So they began to abuse our group because they feel that surgery getting a lot of reimbursement, and that's why they could call the shots and make the hospital do. But then hospital may do like that, but we are independent doctors being consulted, so we don't have to put up with that nonsense, you know. So there were several incidents with our group and their group, because they insulted our people and they wanted us to take it. But they didn't know me. I said, no, we will not take anything like that. We are psychologically independent. We don't care whether we make some money or not. We'll go somewhere else giving our consultation services. Uh, and that kind of attitude looked to them pretty arrogant on my part. But I'm not being arrogant. I'm just being standing up for the dignity of our doctors, right? Uh, but then the hospital, they are afraid that if the orthopedic doctor leaves that hospital, goes somewhere else, they stand to lose millions of dollars, right? So they were kind of wanting us to, be under their foot. And we said, you can be like that if you want to, but we will not be like that. And then the orthopedic people have to adjust to that. And so it's like a standing up for our own dignity and then doing that. So this surgeon coming with great skills, instead of servicing patients, he shifted focus into his own aggrandizement, his own egotic. Even you can see it, the small roles people play, they get a promotion or whatever, that goes to their head. That's what I'm talking about. Can you be stable in the times of good things happening? And can you be resilient and really strong when bad things are happening? That is where I say you stay in the spirituality, you come out and serve, and then you go through the life like you are slicing through the river, not allowing the water coming to the boat. So it's supposed to be a chat. If anybody wants to come up, then we can talk. Otherwise, I'm just speaking, going on. So if you have any questions or comments or something you want to say, you can come up and talk to me. But I just want to take anybody heard the talk, or I want to some kind of feedback. What do you think about that view? Where are you? Did you analyze? Are you pulling more towards the world and using spirituality to learn things and make courses, make books, and all that, or is that personally affecting you inside transformational change? That whatever spiritual path you are following, I don't think one thing is superior to other. All those paths lead to the same thing, liberation, right? So I have no real predilection for something. I just look for the truth of it, any religion, anything. But I don't have to identify with them, right? I can learn the wisdom and let them go. Okay. Why it is when you identify with anything, then you are separating yourself with others. So we don't want to identify. Even men and women, we are all human beings, right? So we don't have to discriminate or identify or separate any group by race or by language, by country, by religion. I think that's simply our truth. So if you don't have the identification, you're much more freer, and you don't have to fight or defend or anything like that, right? So if you go to that level of just staying, you're a human being. I think that's much easier. At least my practice is much easier because of that. My healing also, wherever I talk to and all that, I kind of first remember they are first human beings, then anything else, right? They can hold on to those things very, very tight, but that is their business. For me, what kind of vision I'm looking at them, right? That becomes my thing. Um, so if you think this, you are going more towards the world and then using spiritual principles just to get those things, or you are moving away from the world's temptations, attractions, or Trishna, they call it. Trishna means the hunger for the worldly experiences, worldly accumulations, worldly pleasures. That's not there. Then you have won over yourself and you are moving more towards spiritual, serene being. You can quote people, you can read books, you can do all that. But if you don't have this kind of self study, without judging, without really giving you any blame, I think you will have transformation for real. You know, uh, I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. So, transactional, you move towards the worldly. Transformational, you move towards the spirituality. And if you don't have the transactional, even I've seen this from the childhood. People think of God when somebody's coming finally. Oh, Terry, that's good. I expected him to come first. That's nice. Yeah, that is, we do each other a favor. So, hi, Terry.
Never have expectations, Dr. Ra.
Yeah. No, I was thinking, oh, Terry will come up if nobody else wants to come up. That's fine. Have you heard my talk this morning?
I did catch the best part of your earlier talk.
Okay. It's only half an hour. Yeah. I was talking about, are we moving more towards the world and the pleasures and accumulations and all that? Or are we moving more towards spiritual inner self? My thing is, if you have inner resilience from your own exploration, your own examination of the self, then that resilience gives you strength to pass through both good ways and bad. You will have an equanimous mind. That way, you can better solve everything and also go through the life much easier. So what do you say?
Yeah, well, see, people, some people, see, it's hard to generalize. You got people who are totally wrapped up with everything that's happening in the world. And since the internet and 24/7 news broadcasts, people are more aware of things going on than ever before. And
are they aware of more of?
Well, they either observe it as an observer, realizing that it is all, an illusion is an overplayed expression, but what people perceive and understand is what they experience. And if you can have the view of an observer, yes, that is happening, but my truth is the light and love, then you can observe it, be compassionate, but not be drawn into the fear and misery of it.
See, what it is external things, because of the communication, because technology, have really improved them. But then, by studying external features, if you don't pay attention what is happening within you, then you don't have the self-knowledge, which I'm talking about, So then you'll have a chance for the transformation. Like, for example, I took a simple event this morning with our members. Somebody was upset because economically they have distress, they have trouble, right? So they began to feel bad and they cry and all of that. By crying like that, are they getting weaker and are they getting away from solution? Or by developing this inner resilience, life is like that, good things come, bad things come. And so let us develop this. I was using something like, if you suppose you are a God believer, you are a Dvaita, that means duality. There's God, there's me, I'm going to believe him. Then the solution there is surrender to him, let him help you to do it. But they don't do that. So I was using this thing in Hindu temples. When you go, they give something to the Lord, the fruits and all that. Then they do the puja and give it back to you as prasad, as an offering from the God. Everybody takes whatever it is, whether they like it or not, they would consume it because it is from the God. Like that, if the difficult situations are coming, you take them as prasad from the God, then it becomes something of a lesson, something of an
Yeah.
opportunity to learn from it. Then it becomes
Yeah.
really good in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can learn something from every experience, can't you?
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
sometimes you feel the tears of sadness,
Yeah,
and by the same token, you can feel the tears of joy.
yeah,
You know?
exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Equanimous. Both are looking at the same thing, and not react too much that way or this way. Then you have, this is the point. Whole point of the wellness thing is steady
Yeah.
mind in terms of turbulent, in terms of jubilation. If you have a steady mind, you go through the life better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is in balance when you in a peaceful state.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was getting at, and I was also talking about them how to react during this stage. So the wellness club brought this up. They said, "How do we do with those thoughts then?" Then I said, "Don't follow the thoughts, but observe them. Be away from them like an observer, like a witness, like a watcher. Then you have created a gap between those thoughts and this one, and you're not pursuing the thought, thereby propagating the thought with all the things that it networks into, right? And then sooner or later you'll see these thoughts come and go, and the thoughts are not going to be there. So you go through the experience for what it is, and you may have solution, but then you see, okay, this is what I will do. I will not yield to the thought, but I'll observe it. So that is the meditation like I'm promoting for my students. I told them as they come up, see this one particular lady, she works for the shop where they have to load lot of goods to a particular customer, and she went there and she put all them down out of the truck, and they found out the customer is not there. So she has to reload again and then bring them home, and then a lot of trouble, right? So she was upset with herself, and she was reacting emotionally, and all that made her really feel miserable, right? So I was telling her, okay, now I learned my lesson. I'm going to check for the customer first, then only I will unload them. That's fine. But then I said, did you watch your reactions? Were you able to be non-reactive and be, uh, responsive? That means the situation is there. If you allow yourself to feel miserable, you are draining the energy. That's my point. But if you really don't go through the reaction, you can have a response. That means, okay, I'm not going to get upset, but I have to see what can I do. That's the sanity in a practical situation. For that, all this breathing, all this meditation, all this understanding the mind and thought, emotion, all those things help. That's where I look for the ancient wisdom, because they taught me how to be resilient with it, how to be undisturbed with the extremes of life, how to be in charge of the situation rather the situation inducing reaction within me. That emotional reaction is not really good for me. And then you will be able to control yourself, get your strength, and then go and solve the problem, and that kind of uh, resolves that. So that's what I'm saying, because people's thinking is so fast, so react. First they react, they're emotional upset and all that. Later they say, why did I have to react like that? I could have taken it easy. I could have taken it like a matter of fact, and then do the things. It may not be in the bigger, if somebody dies or somebody has a job loss, some life events there where you may be genuinely upset and you cannot control it, you are afraid what is going to happen. We can still understand that, but then trivial things they react, and that's how this burnout thing coming, because people react from morning till evening for non important things. That's what I'm talking about. Then those situations can become tools for your learning, telling you how you are emotionally tight, how you are reacting for very small things that do not matter. But if a spiritual base is like, okay, God, spirituality, compassion, understanding, all those things are your goal, and you have developed them, then you take all these things that people do light and also help them to come out of those stronger rather than weaker. So that's why they have to understand what is this thought mechanism, what is thought movement, what is this awareness of the thought movement, how can I be in the awareness, and then let the thoughts come and not influence me, but help me understand the situation better and act better. So these are all the subtleties. I really take it without being analytical about the situation, but giving the tools for self study, self knowledge. Thereby, you have inner resilience by yourself, by your own actions, by your own understanding. Then you don't have to seek somebody as a guru or anything. Once you understand, okay, I have what's called inner resilience, I can develop it by myself. How? By being close to, be attentive about what is happening inside and outside of me. And if there is a reaction, emotional reaction, don't have to blame myself for feeling like that, but understanding the consequences, understanding what might have led to that, how we could repair. This is how I made all the negatives, if you call them, happen to me in my life, but I turned it into an opportunity for land, and in that, that negativity became a positive experience in my life. Not really it itself a positive, but it led to something strength that I could build up. You know, this whole thing wellness came up because I was treating a lot of illnesses throughout my career, right? But I also was working on the preventive exam education. That was my penchant thing. I could talk to my patients and tell them what is the root of their illness. That was the premise of my practice. My practice, I put in my own practice in 1997, I think. That's when my daughter was born too. So I remember the date very well. I said, this practice is going to treat the illnesses people walk into our clinic, but we're not going to stop at that. We're going to find out the root of their illnesses, the causes of their illnesses. If suppose somebody comes with high blood sugar, that's easy, diet and exercise and all that. But suppose somebody comes with autoimmune disease, then personality, stress, emotional reaction, all these things are observed, and then they're given tools to handle those things as they arise in their life. Because they may not be so stressed when they come to the clinic, or they may be stressed because they're afraid of the doctor and all that. But then once they come, they were very relaxed with me after certain sessions. And so they told me everything very freely, and they always left saying that I came here depressed, but I feel very good. I'm going home with a lot of optimism, a lot of strength, and all that. So that kind of thing. Okay. So anything negative happens in our life, we can turn that into an opportunity to improve our inner resilience. Okay. Or improve our life in so many ways. So go through the life of the river of life in the boat, always trying to not to put water into the boat. Slice through the life without reactions, but responding to the challenges as they're happening. So that's what I was drawing about. I was inviting everybody. Don't have to declare to anybody. You can invite, you can go into your own self and say, what is my real focus? Am I learning all these meditations, all these exercises, everything else, so that my worldly life will be better? Or you want to push the world a little bit away and go towards your inner spiritual fulfillment? Okay. So anybody else wants to come up and chat? You can be yourself and whatever you want, you can talk to me. I don't mind. Otherwise, just go through that talk and send me the questions, or what do you feel, or you have any areas where you have a doubt about how to go around that maneuver. I will be happy to advise you, or I will be happy to work with you. When I work with you, usually it's not like a instruction given and do it. It's more like inviting you to go and find it within yourself. So that becomes your property. This is where people are misled by the gurus and all those teachers, because they want to you to be dependent on them. But I don't believe in that. I believe in that you doing your work, you finding it your own self, and then you are walking in the path, which is your truth or pursuit or seeking truth. And I may be able to throw some light on that, but doesn't mean you got to take it. You got to question it, and you got to implement it on your own. Then you investigated, you found your truth, and you are working on that. Then that becomes your property, and that also leads to considerable self-reliance and psychological independence. This is something I'm very fond of this psychological independence. We all say we are democratic, we have freedom. But if you look at it, we may have outward freedom, which is also going away with a lot of people coming to steal that. But even if a dictator is there, you could be psychologically independent of these things, these circumstances, these cultures, and all that, right? What prevents you being a pure human being without assigning a role for you, like you are American or Indian, China? You can do that, right? What prevents you from identifying with everybody who has the same energy that you have, the same life energy? In that way, there we are all the same. What prevents you to really not see gender difference or inequality in income, all that, so psychological independence has such a beautiful weight losing thing. So you feel light in your being when you are in the being, and you are psychologically independent too. I remember a story by uh, I think Alexander the Great. I don't know why he calls himself great, because he killed so many people, But he was in the upper part of North India, where he conquered a kingdom, and then he came to the kingdom, and he found that fascinating, because there are almost everybody is illiterate, and most of them are non-violent and very literate people, and having these scholarly discussions, and a very not argumentation, but more like exploring things and learning from that. Okay, it's not like saying I'm correct, you are wrong, not that. Okay, so he was fascinated. He said, who is responsible for this kind of orderly kingdom? He never seen anything like that, I believe. And they told him, oh, there was a prime minister, and his vision, his direction, his administration did all this. Then they he wanted to see him. So he sends the soldiers to this prime minister, who moved away into the forest nearby. He goes and he says, the prime minister says, I'm not going to come to him. If he wants to come, he can come and see me. So he's not afraid. There's the emperor, he has so much army, he can kill her, nothing. So what? You want to take my life? Take it. No problem, right? That kind of attitude. So the main thing is, he doesn't regard this emperor as a valued human being, and also he is not a slave to him. So he doesn't want to come. That's the psychological independence. So Alexander goes to him and visits him, and he finds he has this Ardhashastra, that means a treatise on economic theory. You know what? That is still used in the corporation here in America. Okay, so this I read those things. They're really very valuable administrative, um, more like more like a running things. and with the tact, with humor, with common sense and all that, right? So it's a very challenging book. Unless you are in the present and looking at things, you won't understand. If you bring your own theories that you have learned before in management or whatever, then you will be surprised to see this kind of theories. Anyway, what it is he is so independent. He doesn't care any institution, anything in the world, but he is completely service oriented. And that's why whatever he did is a service to the humanity. That's why his people were so prosperous, because he always groomed them from within to be on their own, to develop their own, not this, ego boosting or transactional relationship. That was not it. He really helped. Actually, he was thrown out of the kingdom much before that by seven kids that inherited the kingdom. They were ruling it, but then they insult him and they threw him out. But he is a great scholar, great teacher, and he has a lot of. Then he says, "I'm going to get you out of this because you are not serving the people." And he takes a commoner and develops into a tremendous warrior and scholar. And he conquered the widest area of kingdom in ancient India. And then he comes and takes away all the seven people, and then gives this rule of law, rule of not law in the sense of here, but according to the universal principles, and what is based on welfare of everybody, not oppressing people and all that. Okay, no ego, no. He doesn't even take that position, but they want him to take it so that things will go on better. But he is not wedded to his prime ministership, or he was never taking any salary. He was not. See, he was what we call self-realized person. He is so established himself in that inner self. That itself is Sat Chit Anand, they say. That means that itself is the epitome of bliss. So he doesn't need anything else to match that bliss. That's something different story anyway. But I'm glad I was able to talk about Chanakya. That's his name. If you want to refer to him and go and read, a lot of corporations, a lot of people are interested in what he has to say about economic theory and also administration. Okay, anybody else coming, or you don't want to come? Then I will close down. This is not a chat. This turned out to be my own speaking about things. Okay, thanks, Terry, for coming up, and I will be seeing you all again later. Okay, bye bye.